Welcome. It's not too often these days that I get to speak to a room full of allies, so I'm especially sorry that I can't be there with you all in person. Let me start by saying how much I love the title you've chosen for your meeting, Mobilizing for the World We Want. It goes to the heart of the model of change that I believe in, and one the Obama administration has embraced and promoted here in the United States and abroad. It's a model that recognizes the power of the individual and groups like UNA, USA, to shape the world we want rather than accept the one we have. We need people like you to educate and engage fellow citizens in tackling global challenges. As you all know very well, many Americans have no idea what the MDGs and the post-2015 agenda are, much less feel like they have a stake in them. They don't know that they are about nations and citizens working together to advance fundamental human rights, from reducing poverty to giving people access to better schools and health, and from addressing climate change to making sure that girls have the same educational opportunities as boys. And if people don't know about these efforts, how can they help make these noble aspirations a reality? But thanks to your hard work, more Americans will know about these efforts, and more will be empowered to take part. Let me also congratulate you on your growing and proactive membership. If we could recruit UN peacekeepers as fast as you all recruit members, we'd be in great shape. Now, I'd like to use my time today to talk to you all about an issue that's a top priority for the administration in which I serve, and also central to the work of the United Nations, the crisis in the Central African Republic. I've traveled to many places that have suffered mass atrocities, but my recent visits to the Central African Republic have been among the most chilling because of the rage and the terror felt by so many, and because of the explicit determination of some to target people who were once their neighbors. In December, I met with Muslim families living in makeshift camps. Forced from their homes by homicidal mobs, they were living in filth without sanitation or access to medical care, and they were terrified. They told me they would rather live in misery than return home where they knew they would be killed. I met with a Christian so-called human rights lawyer who told me he wanted to join a militia so he could go and kill Muslims. When I asked why, he responded, "Have you ever watched your family be killed?" He hadn't either, but he knew people who had, and that was enough for him. The Obama administration has used a range of tools to try to prevent more atrocities from occurring in the Central African Republic. We've imposed targeted economic sanctions and exerted pressure at the highest diplomatic levels. We've helped create a commission of inquiry to foster accountability, and we have lifted and equipped many of the African Union troops who are the backbone of the peacekeeping operation there. On my most recent trip to the Central African Republic at the end of April, I met with some of those peacekeepers and got to thank them for their efforts to disarm militias and protect civilians. Of course, their record has not been perfect, including some very troubling recent reports of abuses, which we are pressing aggressively to have investigated and punished. But I told them, and I tell you today, that as terrible as the situation in the Central African Republic is, and it is terrible, it would be far worse if not for their efforts. In September, African Union peacekeepers will hand over their mission to the United Nations. But here's the challenge. UN peacekeepers are engaged in more places, with more troops, and with stronger mandates than ever before in the history of the United Nations. Yet even before they take over in the Central African Republic, they are being forced to operate with fewer resources than they need to succeed. And success, in this context, translates directly into saving lives. So the challenge that we face, and I say we because I put myself alongside all of you in this, is to persuade people in governments and in multilateral institutions, in high school and colleges and in local communities, of the importance of giving peacekeeping missions the support that they need. To make them see the human costs if these missions cannot fulfill their mandates, and to make them understand that they should not only support this effort because it's the right thing to do, but also because it is in our national interest to promote stability, avoid ballooning humanitarian costs, and prevent the entrenchment of terrorist groups who have a track record of taking advantage of mass violence. The people who are protected by UN peacekeeping missions, people in places like the Central African Republic, like South Sudan, like Mali, they may never know of the effort that you've made on their behalf. But if you succeed, they will be much better off for it. And together, we will have come one step closer to mobilizing for the world we want. Thank you, and good luck.